Making a plan during production of your film project. Hi everyone, this is MelHurry, and you would have seen my previous video on the pre-production planning and how to get started. Mainly I was talking about multiple facets within that, especially you being a filmmaker and of course which means you being a business. So in terms of during the production, so of course, like I said, the previous video, if you tune into that, was talking about the pre-production and kind of getting all the nice things in place before you start actually filming. So let's just take it to you're in your filming days and multiple issues are happening. We know that this is film. This is a project. Projects have issues, and you need to manage those issues effectively. Now, you're during your film project, things seem to be going pretty well. There's been a few people, say like runners or certain support staff that you've had, or volunteers help you out on your project that can't make it, so you've had to get some backups. Again, please visit my backup plan video if you haven't done so yet. So in this particular segment, we're going to talk about the day-to-day running. So the idea is, you know, being on time. Actually, no, it's not about being on time. It's about being early. So for yourself as a filmmaker, you need to be there before everyone else. There's no point in you rocking up and you're like 10-15 minutes late. What is that going to do? It's going to just ruin the whole day. You're going to be stressed. You're not going to be able to plan effectively because you've still got that stress of running late. It's still kind of lagging on. And hopefully if you care about the project so much, you're going to be there at least about an hour early, just in case things need to change in terms of setup. And also it could be the first time that you're viewing the premises or the location that you've hired out, and then therefore you need to kind of check the logistics. So be on time? No, be early is the first point. Refreshments. Now, a lot of the times, I know obviously with major productions there's always refreshments on hand, which is obviously, it should be that way. A lot of the times people neglect their well-being and refreshments, and especially main things like a decent bathroom, you know, again we're talking about adequate water of being available, food, some snacks. People are going to be there for a long time, so you need to make sure that you've planned effectively in terms of catering, or at least you've said, right, okay, at particular times we are going to have a break, we're going to regroup, refresh, and then we're going to get back to it. Make sure you've programmed that on there. So again, your call sheet, it would be good for you to timetable that, just so your actors know that they're going to get the appropriate breaks that they deserve, mainly because they're working for you, and without them you would have no project. So these are like these little things that seem to go amiss sometimes, so you want to make sure that that is effectively planned in. And also the structure of the day, so I already mentioned that previously on your call sheet. Make sure you've got your structure of your day, just so your actors know when to come in, who's coming in and what time, and also you understand what is happening. Planning your scenes. It's not a free-for-all. Now, I know for those of you that have gone to film school, those of you that have, you know, used your common sense, that you need to plan what scenes you're going to film on what day, because obviously it's dependent on the location. But you'd be amazed that sometimes, you know, you can't, some people seem to think that you'll do this sequentially because of the way the script is written. That's not going to happen. So just make sure you've planned out enough time as well within the day, saying, right, we're going to focus this amount of time on one scene, another time on this scene, etc. Just so that, again, your actors are aware of what's needed on what times that they're needed on set. So making sure that that is in place. If that's not in place, you've screwed up the planning, and that's basically me being completely blunt. You screw up the planning if you don't have a plan of your scenes and what's going to take place on the day. Another thing is about making sure that you've got a good environment. So again, this is part of effective planning, making sure you're not stressed as the filmmaker, director, producer, whichever role you are playing as a leader. You need to make sure that you're not stressed so you can lead effectively. This goes into a little bit out of what I'm talking about in terms of planning, because this is more of like a behavioral thing about leadership and making sure your team is still motivated and you're keeping a collaborative approach. But when you do that, you're gonna make sure, actually you're gonna instill faith in you as the leader and filmmaker, but also you'll find that people are more willing to be, well, they're willing to be more productive. So when they're more productive, things will get done more efficiently. You'll find people a bit more loosened up and they can collaborate more. If something goes wrong, they're using their initiative to solve some of those issues that happen on the day. Okay, again, backup plans. Always have a backup plan. So if, for example, something's not gone quite right with a particular scene, or let's just say a crew member said, right, I need to rush off somewhere. Hopefully they wouldn't do that. That wouldn't happen. When they committed, they committed. That's one thing I know about crew members, is when they committed to a project, they will stay on for that day or that time that they're needed for. But if something like that does happen, just make sure you've got a few people to step in. This is what I mean about collaboration and having that backup plan. When you've got people that are multi-talented, and in the industry, there are loads of people that are multi-talented. Some people are good at editing, some people are good with the camera. They might be on screen, but when they're not on screen, they might be able to help out with some of the camera work, or maybe, you know, being able to kind of kind of have a different use of props, or be able to be the prop themselves. I know that's happened to me as a director. I've had to be the prop just in order for certain scenes to go right. And obviously me being unseen, because that would have just been a little bit weird. Or you might even be an extra in your own film, and that's okay, because things can go wrong, people can drop out at the last minute. So the importance is that if you're planning effectively, you will understand who is multi-skilled. If something goes wrong, who could take over particular tasks on the day if needed. So this is kind of during production. Now, okay, so the day's done. It's gone as smoothly or as crazy as most film shoots would go on the day. You've probably had to stay behind, no doubt. There's probably been a few extra scenes that you've had to take because it's just not gone according to plan as what you had planned or what you had in your imagination. That's fine, it happens. The next part is reviewing what happened on the day. So one of the things that I did for How It Is was, because we had 3 days of shooting, it was a short film, so it was a really good free set of days that we had. I actually reviewed what took place throughout that day. What could I have improved? Because the following day we were going to go to the next location. If this were to happen again, what is my contingency? And again, budget. If, you know, again, we had a location that was set from the morning up until about, I think it was about 2 o'clock in the afternoon or something. So it was like around 11 till 2 in the afternoon, because I had to be strict on the cash flow. And it's okay to be real about that, and it's okay to let your casting crew know. Say, look guys, we do need to make sure we wrap this up by such and such time, because this is a budget thing. Because obviously if you have to go extra on your budget, that could risk their pay as well. And this is me speaking very real on an independent based sort of project. So it's about understanding that. And again, you know, that's risk management and risk planning. So you would reflect on what happened the day before. Think about your contingencies for the next day or the next time that you're going to shoot your next scenes, and then you can start to plan contingencies effectively. Again, watch my backup plan video for more tips on that. And then also what you'll start to say is that, right, actually the call sheet on the previous day wasn't as detailed. I'm going to update this now, just so that everyone has got extra details, extra phone numbers, even phone numbers exchanging between the actors that are going to be present on the day, just so that people have got that communication. And also to make sure people are safe as well. You know, traveling in through to and from London or New York, LA, wherever you are making your movie, you need to make sure that people are safe. And that's another part of your planning as producer, and you know, the overall filmmaker putting this project together, you need to make sure that your staff, your team are safe. If there are no safety measurements being planned, or you know, there's no input into like wondering, you know, do we have a first aid kit on site, on set, sorry, do we have all of our contact details shared with each other just in case something were to happen? What sort of mechanisms do we have in place? We need to make sure that we're kind of looking after each other, especially when it's an independent movie, because things can happen, accidents can happen. Again, remember your insurance, but also, you know, it's about making sure that we're having a safe environment. Ultimately, that's part of the planning, and that is during production. And also thinking about the end of the day as well. You know, how are people getting on? For example, there was a fight scene in my movie, and I was a little bit, I mean, you know, they were very well trained, you know, the safety precautions were in place. However, me being me, naturally that caring person, I did have to check into check in on one of the actors to say, are you okay? You're not hurt? Okay, great. You still okay to film tomorrow? Yeah, of course you want to check to see that they're available for the next day, but also it was ultimately check, like, are you okay? Is there anything I can do? What you know, again, what can we do for the next day so that, you know, that you wouldn't be in pain? So a lot of this stuff is about making sure you're collaborating with your team, you're communicating well with them, you've got safety planning in place, you've got the reflection of the previous day so you can plan effectively for the next day, your refreshments planning, and of course planning the scenes in good time throughout the day so that you understand what segment is going to be focused on for in each part of the day. And also daylight as well. So if you've got a night scene, obviously you're not going to film during the day unless you've got some blackout blinds or something within the locations that you're using. So there's certain things that, again, you're starting to pick up on where I'm going with this in terms of making sure stay organized, because organization in a film project is your friend. And this is TheMelHurry signing out on the during the production of making your movie. So stay tuned for more advice, tips and guidance on So You Want to Make a Movie. Take care, guys.